Welcome to season 2 of F That, the perspective shift. If season 1 was about saying fuck that to trauma, this season is about asking, what if we've been seeing the world all wrong? Inspired by shows like Revisionist History, we're flipping the script on patriarchy, race, family, habits, and so much more. Because when you see the world differently, you move through it differently. This is where personal evolution meets cultural reckoning. Let's stop performing for the damn man and start thinking about ourselves. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Welcome back to F That. This season is all about shifting your perspective on things that you thought you knew everything about. But I love a plot twist. I love to be like, actually, here's a different perspective on that. And today's episode is no different. Today, we are talking about how the way that we have been taught to lead in a traditional manner is kind of S. Okay? Today, I want to completely rewire how we think about leadership. What we know so far about leadership is that historically it is rooted in self-sacrifice. It's outdated as fuck, unsustainable, and deeply rooted in capitalism and patriarchy. The way that I teach leadership to my clients and to the world in general is through self-preservation. And that changes everything. Okay? So if you've ever felt like leadership isn't worth your burnout, because most of us feel that way, you're going to want to hear this. Okay? So let's just get right into it. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the myth of self-sacrifice in leadership. Okay? We've been taught to lead from a place of you got to put other people first. You got to put the collective before the self. Put everybody ahead of you so that everybody else can do well and benefit off of your pain, your labor, your sacrifice. And this is in corporate roles. This is for the eldest daughter. This is for anybody who has taken on a role of where people look at you and they expect you to do the thing first. Self-sacrifice is expected, right? And this ideology is what leads to burnout, resentment, and performative chase for attention. This is how you have built an entire generation of people who are like, I sacrificed for so many people for so many years, and look what it got me. Nobody appreciates me. And if we're being honest, it builds a hint of narcissism because people are like, I did so much for everybody else. Who's going to do anything for me? And leaders, they crave recognition, but the way that they're taught to earn it, which is through self-abandonment, ensures that they never actually enjoy it because they are sacrificing for people to get this recognition. They are told, if I sacrifice, I will get A, B, and C. And then they look up, they're retired, and they didn't get A, B, or forget about fucking C, right? They are taught, if you do for everybody else, one day somebody will do for you. And then that one day never comes. And then you're old, and you're pissy, and you're bitter, and you're full of resentment because you were sold this lie that if you sacrificed for everybody around you, that one day your dues would be paid back to you. And that's just not how it has been. Right? And let's talk about an example. People like Simon Sinek promote trust through sacrifice. He has a TED Talk where he talks about how in the military, and I love people who have like almost no concept of the military. They think that everybody in the military loves each other. Them motherfuckers hate each other, okay? They have this misconstrued idea of what like brotherhood is. That's called trauma bonding. Okay, this episode is not about trauma bonding, but that's what the fuck it's called. People in the military like each other because they are bonded over a shared trauma. That is it. But he talks about in his TED Talk, I think it's from like 2010, how trust is built amongst these teams by the people who are willing to go first, who are willing to lay down on the line. I knew somebody who served with Kyle Carpenter, the Marine who jumped on a grenade to save his team. Luckily for him, he survived, but at what cost? Mans was messed up, right? But everybody looked at him like, oh, he's a savior, he's a leader, he's the example. Why the fuck do I gotta jump on a grenade to make sure everybody else is okay? Why was the grenade there in the first place? Why were we at war in the first place? Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I will start preaching. Okay. But in Simon Sinek's TED Talk, he talks about how trust is built through this level of leadership. And when I watched that TED Talk, all I heard was, in order to build trust, you got to sacrifice yourself. The fuck? Why? Okay. And while he's not wrong per se, it's just a harmful framing. It's a harmful way of thinking. Why should the leader always be the one to bleed out for the group? What about that leader's family? What about their hopes and dreams? Nobody grows up saying, I want to be a leader so that I can put everybody else ahead of me and be mad and harm my mental health and harm my physical health and die lonely and sad. Nobody dreams of that. Why does it always have to be the leader that has to go first? Why are we telling people that the only way to model effective leadership is by laying your life down on the line or laying yourself on the wire so that people can walk over you? Why? This is the 21st century, baby. Nothing is that serious. Nothing is that serious, okay? Because again, this is how we build generations of bitter, regretful leaders who end up saying, I wish I had just done more for myself. You never hear a person that says, you know what, I wish I had spent more time at work. I wish I had done more for other people in a way that, made me unhappy. Nobody fucking says that. Okay? So where does the narrative come from? Self-sacrificing leadership, as with everything around here, is a symptom of capitalism and patriarchy. Literally everything, babe. Literally everything. You're taught that unless you are hustling until you die, thanks hustle bros, right? You're not valid. If you're not doing things for everybody else, you're not worthy, you're not doing enough. We wear burnout on our chest like, look at me, I'm burnt out. I did more than you. I sacrificed more for you. I did better than you. Okay, baby, that is not the flex that you think it is because you are bitter and nasty and nobody wants to be around you and you just cause them pain and problems left and right. And we walk around like, look at me, I earned my stripes. Baby, zebras are born with them. There's nothing to earn. Actually pretty dope. Zebras are born with their stripes. There's nothing to brag about while earning them, okay? And this idea of self-sacrificing leadership is just a symptom of we're working for the man. Capitalism needs to thrive off of our labor, so we have to do more and become more. And patriarchy is, if we don't provide and we don't do all of these things, then we're going to become obsolete. And God forbid the woman help, right? And the woman can't do it, so the man must, and we must lay ourselves down so that everybody else can benefit. Ass way of thinking. Ass way of thinking. Okay? And then people move. There's two ways that they swing when they're in this self-sacrificing leadership, right? They completely self-neglect. They don't pay any attention to themselves. They talk about it like it's just this glorious thing when on the inside they are so upset and so bitter and so worn out and can't go another day the way that they are. And then they swing from that to total fucking narcissism. Because now they're like, I sacrificed all of these things for all these people for so many years. Where is my reward? Nobody's paying attention to me. Me. Now it's gone from everything wasn't about me at all to now everything has to be about me because now I'm making up for lost time. Because they were so depleted and so ignored for so many years. Please tell me how leadership through self-sacrifice is desirable. It's not. And I want to talk about how it's really not, because there are plenty of people that think that they want to be leaders and then they see the way that leaders are modeling behavior and then they're like, oh, I don't want that. That's lame. Okay. So let's talk about reframing leadership as self-preservation. Right now, leaders model self-sacrifice. They say, I'm going to go first. I am going to sacrifice. I'm going to stay late so that everybody else can enjoy it. And I used to hate watching Aaron go through that. When my husband was like an E4, an E3 in the Marine Corps, he would have E7s. He'd be like, you guys go home early. I'll make sure everything else is taken care of here. And we used to love that. But I worried about when he would become an E7, because I'd be like, well, are you going to be the one who has to stay late then? Because that's kind of lame. And what happens now? He's the E7. he does everything for everybody else. The self-sacrificing train has arrived in the station like I knew it would. And those people were modeling self-sacrifice. Because let's talk about kids, for example, right? You know how they say, do as I say, not as I do? It's asinine. You have to model behavior for a child. You can't just say, go do this thing. You have to show them how to do it. And every leader right now is modeling self-sacrificing behavior. And what that's doing is triggering in the minds of the people that they lead. Subconsciously, I don't fucking want that. Leadership comes with exhaustion for working, being on overtime, being unhappy, being bitter, being tired. I don't want that. And then people run the other way, avoiding leadership in droves because they're like, ew, I see how my manager is treated. I don't want that. And then there's even less incentive, to be honest, especially in America. There's not much incentive to move up the corporate ladder anyway. But the way that leaders model self-sacrifice, there's even less of a reason to head into management. And so now you've got an entire generation of people who have put themselves on the line, an entire generation of people who are watching them like, I'm not fucking doing that, right? So what happens when you swap it to modeling self-preservation? The act of modeling boundaries, health, and self-worth as the most powerful form of leadership, right? Because let's have a moment here. Most people think that self-preservation is selfish, and it's not. There are always going to be people who are selfish, right? You can't blame the collective for the few that are produced. And majority of the problems of selfishness and narcissism are caused by patriarchy and capitalism. Are we seeing the self-preservation is honest? It is healing. It is sustainable. Because when you lead from a place of self-preservation, you are showing others what it means to care for themselves without waiting for permission to take care of themselves. Leading through self-preservation is less about telling your team what to do and more about showing them. Okay, let's talk about a couple of examples. A manager who protects their team by refusing unreasonable asks, right, is leading from strength, not sacrifice. So a leadership team comes and says, we need your team to perform more like this. And the manager or the leader says, no, my team will not be doing more with less. Because for some reason, people have gotten really hyped up about doing more with less. Not a flex, not the marketing that you think it is. You are not selling it to the audience the way that you think you are. And so a leader saying, no, my team won't be doing that. A couple of things happen here, right? One, you have now forced the leadership team to be like, wait, if everybody's saying no, maybe we need to reevaluate how we are running this company. You're forcing the hand of the people who are making the decisions and forcing them to have a come to Jesus talk with themselves about the shit way that they are asking their company to perform. The second thing that's happening is you are modeling leadership through self-preservation to the people that you're leading. The people that you're leading are like, wow, this person really cares. Wow, this person will do something to protect us, but they're not burning themselves out to do it. They're literally just putting their foot down and saying, fuck no, you're not going to run all over my people. Because when you have an entirely burnt out workforce, you've got turnover, right? Let's talk about that. When you're in a corporation or a small business, when you've got people that you're asking to do more with less, you're burning them out, then they're like, I'm going to go find something different. So you've got turnover, and the cost of turnover is high as fuck. It costs way more to hire a new person and to train them than it costs to just pay your people that you already have what they're asking for, and two, give them the respect that they are asking for with time off, with the perks it is that they're requesting. It costs less to respect your current employees than it does to get new ones. And one of the ways that you can respect your employees is by not asking them to do more with less. So when a manager says, I will not be doing that, you need to fix the way that you're doing your operations. Not only are you forcing the company to reevaluate what they are asking of their people, and in turn actually saving them a shit ton of money because you're going to be lowering the turnover rate. People will overall be happier in their work environment. But you're also showing in real time, in real self-preservation mode to the people that you lead, that this is what it looks like when you take a stand to self-preserve. Because you're preserving them, but you are preserving yourself. You're saying, I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not fucking doing that. People are always like, how do I professionally say I'm not fucking doing that? I'm not fucking doing that. There don't need to be nothing professional about it. I said what I said. Okay? Modeling self-preservation is the way. Because at the end of the day, nobody suffers. Because the business that you said no to, they might think that they are suffering in that moment, but they're not, because you're saving them thousands of dollars in turnover and burnout, right? Potential workers' comp, potential, layoffs, things like that. You're saving them so much money you're saving them money in also labor that people aren't actually doing, right? There's been plenty of times I was charging labor and I was like, I did this in half the time, right? Your numbers are going to be more accurate. Your turnover is going to be lower. You're going to have an overall happier and healthier workforce. You're not actually losing. You're being held to a standard that you said that you were going to have as a business owner and as a corporation. And your people are forcing you to hold that standard. And as a person who's on a team, you are seeing what it means in real time. You are getting permission. Oh shit, that person did that. Cool. Now I've got the permission slip to take care of myself the way this person does. And now you've got people who are actually looking forward to being leaders, because now they see, oh shit, when I become a leader, I can say what I want. I can effectively, change a company. I can make a real change here. My leaders are tanned and hydrated and rested and not burnt out. This is what leadership is. Sign me up. Which is the exact opposite effect of self-sacrifice, right? I talk about this so much. To try and change the world by trying to change other people is a fool's errand. When I was trying to do that when I ran for Congress, it was exhausting because people act like they want change, but they really don't. So you change the world by changing yourself. Because when you change yourself, the electromagnetic field that surrounds your body, that radiates off of your body, when you are happier, when you are healthier, when you are in a higher elevated emotion of like gratitude and happiness and peace, your electromagnetic field from your body physically changes. It becomes more magnetic. People are more drawn to you at an energetic DNA scientific level. And they say, what they drinking over there? I want what they sipping. They're happy. They're healthy. They're hydrated. Gut health, gut microbiome, brain health. Everything is in order with them. How do I have that? And then they ask you, and you give to them from a place of a full cup, right? Because you're feeling so good about it. You're like, I have done so much for myself. I can't wait to tell other people about this. And then they absorb that for themselves. And then they're happy. Then they're hydrated. Then they're looked after. And then their electromagnetic field changes. And somebody else sees them. And then the domino effect that way, right? Don't try to change people by forcing them to change. Model the behavior of how you changed yourself first. So let's talk about real world application, because I don't like leaving you guys without giving you something sturdy, giving you homework. A bitch loves giving homework, okay? How can you do this in action? How can you model this behavior in real time in your world? If you are in the corporate life, right, you could always say, hey, I'm going to lunch. I'm getting a massage. We'll circle back on this in 2 days. I'm not working over lunch. You can say, I'm not attending that meeting to your team. It's not necessary. You don't have to go if you don't want to. You can say to your team, I'm only working 40 hours and I'm thriving. You should try it. Again, this is less about telling your team to chill, and it's more about showing them what it looks like when you chill. Okay. For me, as a global thought leader, as a coach, most of my clients, if not all of my clients, haven't come to me because I had a fancy call to action at the end of my, my posts, right? They came to me because I was modeling the behavior that they wanted to have for themselves. I live a life that they want for themselves. And so they come to me like, how do I have that? How did you get that? Teach me how to Dougie. And I'm like, I got you, right? It's not about telling people. It's about showing them through your own behavior. You inadvertently help people by living your best life. I follow so many influencers that have moved to other countries, and I don't necessarily need to learn from them how to do it. I just see them living their best life. I don't care if it's a highlight reel or not. I'm like, how do I do that? I see it and I want it for myself. You yapping at people and just telling them what to do, it's not gonna work. You have to show them. Your boundaries are contagious as fuck, okay? Your no gives other people permission to rest. There are people, and leadership should feel inherent in you. Okay, there's too many people out here managing, parading around as leaders. Not everybody's supposed to be a leader. But for you, it probably feels inherent. It feels like something you're supposed to do. I have one channel defined in my human design chart. There's like, I don't know how many there are. I'm not that into it. I don't know off the top of my head, but I only have one channel that goes from my throat center to my G center. It is channel 31-7, and it is the channel or the gate of leadership. Leadership is the name of my game. I don't do anything else but lead other people, but I lead them through my example. I self-preserve. Other people see what it is that they like. They're like, how do I get something like that? What I do gives other people permission to do. That is the role that I play in society. I cut my mom off. I gave a bunch of other people on the internet permission to cut their parents off. I bought an $800,000 house with a big old pool in the backyard. People are like, tell me how to do that. I'm allowed to have that too. My modeling of self-preservation, my modeling of rest, my modeling of I said what the fuck I said, y'all can deal with it, gives other people permission to act the same way. And it's all positive. None of it has ever been negative. None of it, ever. When you model this behavior and you don't just yap at people and tell them what to do, you actually do it yourself. You walk the walk. It gives other people permission to rest and to chase what they want for themselves, to be who they really want to be. Okay. So finally, I guess there's a couple of other things, right, we want to talk about, right? And we're just going to kind of tap in on the ripple effect just one more time, right? When people observe self-sacrificing leaders, they observe burnout, shame, exhaustion, resentment. What people observe in self-preserving leaders is peace, clarity, vitality, strength. Subconsciously, people wholeheartedly reject leadership because they don't want to become the leaders that they've seen, right? And that leads to so many emerging leaders avoiding responsibility and visibility, like we've talked about, and other people chasing leadership just to prove themselves because of what, guys? Capitalism and patriarchy. This push to prove that they are worthy of something. And they end up burning out in the process. And it's why no one wants to manage anymore. And it's why entrepreneurs feel drained, right? And it's why movements stall out. Because there's too many fucking business coaches out here modeling, oh, well, I had a 40K month today. Cool, bro. Now you're making other people feel like, well, why can't I have that for myself? And then they're going to go chase your exact strategies. You're not paying any attention to their human design or how they're operating. You're just going to give them some one-size-fits-all strategy for how you did it and not pay any attention to the way that they should actually be operating. Because you hustled, so you're telling other people that they should. Entrepreneurship feels draining because you are modeling an 80-hour work week, acting like that's normal. It's not. Okay? And it's why movements stall out, because you think that, oh, well, if I'm going to be an effective global leader, I got to go couch surf. I have to be poor. I have to be indebted to others. I have to be this person who lives impoverished because that is what my message is more important than the money. No, money is another form of abundance, baby. And when you are putting out things, the fire that I speak from my soul, I deserve to be well paid for this. Okay. You listening to this podcast for free, but other people are paying me for my worth and for my value and for what I put into their lives. I'm not finna be no poor ass person and let other people. Why am I gonna be broke to help you make money? That don't make no goddamn sense, and y'all need to stop acting like it does. And that's why movements, again, they stall out, because you've got these leaders who are bending over backwards to try and change the world. Nobody is listening to them. Nobody's helping them. And they're seen as these martyrs who gave up everything for the greater good. Why should they have to do that? Stupid. It's stupid. I'm not that kind of movement leader, and I don't guide those kind of movement leaders. Women in my programs are highly paid and highly sought after for their genius. They have an original idea. They are positioned as the expert with that original idea. Why should they not be paid for it? I have hella original ideas, more than most people out here talking about. Why should I not be hella paid for it? I'm not sacrificing nothing for nobody, and I don't have to, because the people that pay me to work with me, they want to pay me to work with me. They want me to guide them at the rate that I guide them at. You set the standard for how people treat you. And if you set yourself up for self-sacrifice and disrespect, that's on you, baby. That's not on anybody else, okay? All right, so let's wrap it up. We're gonna rebuild leadership, okay? We are modeling a new kind of leadership, one that honors the self as much as it honors the mission. Because there is no mission if there's no people to carry it out. And we all know that we don't even have to talk about a corporate environment, right? We can just talk about in general. The more people turn over, the more people burn out, the more the mission is going to get all shuffled, because you've got constant change. Constantly got people coming in who don't know what the last person was doing, who have different ideas on how to lead. There's no stability. There's no stability. And so when you self-preserve, right, you are able to carry out the mission a lot further. There's not as much turnover. There's more stability for the movement, for the mission, whatever your mission is, right? My mission is to help people be themselves. I got to take care of me so that I can be here longer to do that. How old am I? 34? I got to be doing this for at least another 50 years. At least. I got a lot of work to do. I got to take care of me so that I can give to you. What the fuck do I look like giving to y'all first? Then I'm only going to be here until I'm 50. I'm not trying to do all that. Fuck out of here. This kind of leadership that we are modeling now honors the self as much as the mission. You must lead by modeling joy, sustainability, boundaries, and most of all, self-trust, okay? So now I want you to self-reflect, because here I go again with the homework, right? So the first piece of the homework, I don't think that I mentioned it, was like, how can you actually model self-preservation for the people that you lead right now? Whether it's at work, whether it's with your kids, because I model self-preservation in front of my kids all the time. Told you, I'm about to go take a nap, lay it down after I record this podcast. I have trained them to respect that. They are not nappers. Cool. Go get your iPad. Go play with your toys. I will be up when I'm up, because it's important for mommy to rest in between her work, in between her playing with you, so that she can be happier when she is playing with you, because nobody wants a mean old mom, right? So first is, how can you go and model that behavior, okay? So now I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions in addition to that one. I'm really giving y'all so much fire in this episode, just like every other episode. Y'all really about to have your lives changed, okay? So question number 1, where have I been self-sacrificing in order to earn respect? Where have I been self-sacrificing in order to earn respect? Because you think that you have to earn respect of people who have self-sacrificed before you. No, baby. I don't know how to tell you you were wrong and you went about it the wrong way, but I'm not doing all that. Where am I bending over backwards to get you to like me? Because you had it harder than me. You did that to yourself, respectfully. Okay. Next question. What would it look like to preserve myself and still lead powerfully? I've given you examples of how I do that. I lay down and nap. I'm not a big fan of calls these days with clients, but my clients be on my voice notes like crazy. That is an act of self-preservation for me, Because when I don't have to sit down and sit for 45 minutes to an hour 10 times a week talking to people, I have more energy. When I can send a voice note to my client while I'm watching my kids jump in the pool and I'm outside tanning, getting my vitamin D levels up, that is self-preservation. And I am pouring into that person from a place of overflow. They are getting so much fucking gold in that voice note because I took care of myself first. So for you, what does it look like to preserve yourself and still lead powerfully? Because the answer is there. It's so funny. This is like a total detour, but it's like my coach one time said that the existence of a question means that an answer already exists somewhere. So I'm asking you this question because an answer for you exists. Okay? And then the last question is, what am I ready to stop doing for me and for those who look up to me? What am I just like, I'm not doing that shit no more. What am I ready to stop doing? Because it's going to be obvious. It's going to be obvious. This question should come very easily because everybody out there is doing something that they don't want to do anymore. You just have to decide to stop. And you're probably listening to this episode as a sign, okay? You do not need to earn your worth through exhaustion. You are worthy because you exist. Your worth is inherent. Your soul and your skin suit exist on the world. You are worthy. You are worthy of money. You are worthy of rest. You are worthy of everything it is that your heart desires simply because you exist. And I know that that is a tough pill to swallow for so many people, especially for men, okay? Go back and listen to Patriarchy as a Trauma Response, that episode. I know what it feels like to be married to a man who feels like he has to prove himself to so many people, who's been told that his worth is directly tied to his productivity and to how much money he makes and for what he can do for other people. And that shit is just bananas to me. Dane, you are worthy. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. And if this shifted something for you, share it, please. You're not the only person in the world who needs to hear this, okay? Send it to your boss. Send it to your team. Send it to an eldest daughter. Send it to your husband. Send it to your burnt out bestie, right? And if you're like, I don't want to go through this alone. For my men, I have Cleanup Crew. Cleanup Crew is my program for the men out there who are tired of the patriarchal pressure to be everything to everyone. And they are ready to exchange that pressure and those feelings of unworthiness for a softer, more creative life while still making hella cash. Okay. And for my ladies, my one-on-one coaching is going to be where you want to be in order to say, I'm not going to lead like this anymore. I'm ready to self-preserve. And if you're like, I need all of that right now, I need to learn from Lexi right now, you know where to find me on Instagram at LexiP Coaching. And you can find all the information for all of my programs on my website at thefccoach.com. I really hope that this episode gave you perspective on self-preservation versus self-sacrifice as a way to initiate effective leadership. I would joke and say, thanks for coming to my TED Talk as a quintessential millennial. But again, I did submit this as a topic for TED, and I fully expect for that talk to be mine. So you will probably see this on a stage at some point because this is, again, it's my original IP. I should probably go ahead and legally protect my intellectual property, shouldn't I? Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Can't wait for the next episode. Tune in next time. Make sure that you are liking the show, following it so you get notified every time the episode drops, and I'll catch you on the next one. Laters, guys. Hey, if you enjoyed the show, make sure to leave a review or a rating for us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you're interested in joining any of my programs, you can find more information at thefccoach.com, and you can follow me on Threads and Instagram at LexiP Coaching. See you over there.